One NFL team is named after a taxi driver's favorite employee. Another is named after a meatpacking company that doesn't exist anymore. One almost got sued over its name before it even played a game. And one team spent 2 full seasons with no name at all, just Washington Football Team, before landing on the one it has today. 5 teams, 5 names, 5 stories that have nothing to do with football and everything to do with the people who built these franchises. Let's get into it. 1. Cleveland Browns. Let's start with the most argued about name in the NFL. In 1944, a taxicab magnate named Mickey McBride bought a new pro football franchise for Cleveland. He hired a college coaching legend, Paul Brown, to run the whole operation, coaching, roster, everything. McBride ran a contest to let fans name the team. The most popular pick was Panthers. Paul Brown shut that down immediately. There had already been a failed local team by that name, and he wanted nothing to do with it. So McBride went a different direction. He simply named the team after his coach, the Browns. Here's where it gets interesting. For decades, Paul Brown himself spread an alternate story, that the name was actually short for Brown Bombers, a tribute to heavyweight boxing champion Joe Louis, whose nickname was the Brown Bomber. Brown was a humble guy, and the idea of a team being named directly after him made him uncomfortable. So he leaned into the boxing story instead. The team even printed it as fact for years. But late in his life, Brown admitted the truth. There was no Joe Louis connection. The team was named after him, plain and simple. Today, both the Browns organization and the NFL officially confirm it. The Joe Louis story lives on as one of football's great urban legends, started by the very man it was meant to deny. 2. Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh's team didn't start as the Steelers. When the franchise launched in 1933, owner Art Rooney named them the Pirates because they shared Forbes Field with Pittsburgh's baseball team and figured the branding made sense. For 7 seasons, Pittsburgh's football team and baseball team had the exact same name. Understandably, that got confusing. In 1940, the team held a renaming contest of its own, and the new name leaned into the city's actual identity. Pittsburgh wasn't a pirate town, it was a steel town. At the time, the city produced more steel than almost anywhere on Earth, and the industry employed a huge share of the people who'd be buying tickets. Steelers fit. It still does. The team's logo to this day is the actual logo of the American Iron and Steel Institute, making the Steelers one of the only NFL teams using a non-football corporate logo as their primary identity. 3. Buffalo Bills. The Bills have one of the more old-school origin stories in the league. Quite literally, Wild West. When Buffalo got a new pro team in the 1940s, a Name the Team contest landed on Bisons, then later Bills, a tribute to Buffalo Bill Cody, the famous frontiersman and showman whose Wild West shows had once passed through the city. A young fan named James Dyson actually submitted the winning entry. The name stuck through the team's earlier incarnation and carried over when the modern Buffalo Bills launched in 1959 as a charter member of the American Football League. It's one of the few NFL team names tied directly to a real historical figure rather than an industry, animal, or local nickname. 4. Green Bay Packers. This one is the most literal name in football, and also the most small town. In 1919, a former high school football star named Curly Lambeau wanted to start a team in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The problem? He needed money for equipment and uniforms. So he asked his employer, the Indian Packing Company, a local meat packing plant, for $500 in funding. They said yes, on one condition. The team had to be allowed to practice on company grounds, and it had to carry the company's name. Lambeau agreed, and the Green Bay Packers were born, named directly after a meatpacking plant that no longer exists. The Packers are also the last true small-market, publicly owned team left in the NFL, literally owned by shareholders in the community rather than a single billionaire. The name has never changed in over a century, making it the oldest continuously used team name in the league. 5. Washington Commanders. This is the newest name on the list, and the most complicated. For decades, Washington's NFL team carried a name widely regarded as a racial slur against Native Americans, a name the franchise had used since the 1930s. After years of mounting pressure from advocacy groups, sponsors, and players, the team finally retired it in 2020. But there was no replacement ready. For 2 full seasons, the franchise played simply as the Washington Football Team. No nickname, no real identity, just a placeholder while ownership worked out what came next. In 2022, under new direction, the team unveiled its new identity, the Washington Commanders. The name was chosen to evoke leadership and military service, fitting for a franchise based in the nation's capital, with a logo built around a star reminiscent of military rank insignia. It's the only name on this list created in the social media era, workshopped, tested, and unveiled with the kind of rollout an NFL name has never gotten before. So there it is, a coach who didn't want his own name, a steel logo that isn't even a football logo, a Wild West showman, a meatpacking plant, and a name still finding its footing. 5 teams, 5 completely different stories, 1 shared thread. None of these names happened the way you'd expect. If you want the next batch of team name origins, let me know in the comments which teams to cover next.